Let's talk about the G major pieces on page 33 of our text. We have already studied the key signature for G major. A sharp sign is displayed at the beginning of each line of music and in both staffs for the right hand and the left hand. Remember, the key signature is the place where musicians look first when they are playing a new piece of music. I know I do. I want to know how many sharps or flats I have to remember to play. And of course, what key am I in? What position do my hands go to? Look at this array of key signatures. Kind of looks like a royal flush, doesn't it? You'd want to have this hand to win a card game. But these are many different key signatures, and they all correlate with some position on the keyboard where the sharps located on the staff have to be played sharp on those notes. Let's take a look now on the pieces. We'll look at the pieces on page 33, and all of them are in the key of G major that you'll notice. You will want to watch the intervals and direction of the notes, whether the notes are written on the top or the bottom staff, and also the note values, the quarter notes, half notes, and the whole notes, which help you to count aloud and be aware of the rhythm. Always take 30 seconds to scan the music through each line before you play. Circle any skips and any other intervals that are larger than a step, and that will help you not to miss those larger, more leaping types of intervals. Let's look at these pieces one by one. We'll start with March. Notice, first of all, we have the F sharp at the beginning of each line on both staffs to indicate the key of G. Now, if we take a look, we notice the key of the note G is the one we start on, and we are going to go up by steps and down, and then up more steps for a total of 5. Here is the 5-finger position, by the way. Left hand begins on 1. They give us a clue with the 1. We're going to go down a skip. Notice how I've circled them in the score. And then it goes up a step, down another skip, back up to D, and all the way down the 5 here in steps. Take a minute to tap the rhythm. This is always valuable to get a head start and a grasp of the rhythm before you have to play. So I would probably count, remembering the eighth notes, to say and on every beat in every measure. Try with me. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 of course notice how we switched hands to show the right notes, the right hand notes, and then the left hand notes. Now let's see if we can play and count that at the same time. Take a look. We'll start with our right hand in the G position, like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Switch. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and if you saw this on the my full body shot, it would look something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. My left hand's waiting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so important to count the rhythm while you play, to have a good stable pulse in your music. Now let's take a look at the waltz, the next piece, also in the key of G. You will notice that waltz begins with an upbeat. And we're supposed to have 3 beats in the measure. We only have 1 pair of eighth notes for 1 beat, which means the other 2 are at the end of the song. We want to start counting on 3 and. Before we do that, let's take a look at these steps and the skips. We begin with finger 3 as they tell us, and we're going to go up steps, down by a skip. Notice the circle. These are same, and down a step. The right hand takes over on finger 2. It's going to go up 2 steps, down a skip. Notice the circle. Same, and down a step. If we tap the rhythm, we're going to begin with the left hand on the upbeats on beat 3. Listen for the count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and notice the left to switching to the right to show the two hands. This time, let's play it on the reading the notes on the staff. I'm going to begin with my left hand in the G position. My right hand will come there shortly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and a different angle, same piece. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1. And if you heard me playing full accompaniment, or as an orchestra would play for a waltz with couples dancing around the floor, it might sound like this. 1 and 2 and... So you have the music in full context. Next comes the promenade, and let's take a look at the same thing. We'll scan it ahead of time, looking at the intervals, and we'll tap the rhythm as well. First of all, the intervals. Notice we start right hand on 5. It goes down a skip, up a step, and down by steps. Left hand begins on 3, playing up a step, up a step. One more note is the same. We're going to go down a skip. You might circle that in your music. Up a step, down a few steps. And the end, notice they tell us finger 2, 2 again, and then up a 4th, down a 5th. And so the closing finger here, if you play something like 2, 2, 2, 5, 1. Notice we do have the interval of a 5th for the last 2 notes, so you can easily just play 5, 1, 5, 1, and before it's 2, 2, 5, 1. So just think about down a 5th at the very end. Here is the way the tapping goes. 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and it sounds like this. Wait for the count. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Go. 1, 2 and 3. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and with the full camera. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 2. Left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and there you have it. Bugles is the last piece. Bugles is quite fun and it's quite repetitive. You might think of the trumpeter, the bugle player in an army camp, rousing the soldiers in the morning to get out of bed when they hear this at 6 a.m. or before. All right, here's the sound of bugles. Listen. And I played it twice because it's so much fun to play. Let's take a look then at the intervals and the rhythm as well. Notice we start with the right hand on G with our thumb, and I have circled, you can see kind of lightly here, I've circled, these are simply skips. And so up a skip from G looks like B, and it comes back to G. We dip down to the D in the left hand with 1, return to the B. This is another down a skip, up a skip, down a skip, back to the D. Here's your B again, down a skip to G, up a skip, down a skip, a pair of Ds, and we come to rest on the G. And so really we have simply about 3 different notes in the piece Bugles, which simply repeat from measure to measure. Let's listen to the rhythm. And we want to make sure we put the 8th notes on beat 2 in every measure. Careful for the whole note at the very end. Keep your finger in the key. Wait for the count. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. I may drop the counting and at the very end since I know it's a whole note and there are no more eighth notes. Let's listen to the piece slowly again on the keyboard. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And once from a different angle, 2 and 3, 4, 1. And if you get really good and are bold, you can try the upbeat tempo. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2. And there it is. If you lay the groundwork carefully, paying attention to your hand position, the direction of the notes and the counting, your note reading will grow exponentially. By leaps and bounds, you'll become a good sight reader. Have fun playing these 4 pieces in the key of G.